Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile fucking year, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I've been a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, joined by Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick, and a special guest today, but we'll get there in a second. Got a lot to discuss. We have Chronos, not an outright acquisition, but it might as well have been a very large investment. We'll talk about that and the movement in the pod stocks. Talk about some earnings we had, some ratings, and we'll take your questions from our chats. I'll just throw it right to Joel, and he can do some levels, and we can talk about who our guest is after that. But Joel, what's the word here in the overnight session?
Spoos in the red by 12.5 handles. Had a little follow through on that strong close, but 2,700, folks. That's the number on the upside. Yeah, Tuesday's close in that area. Pre-market high 2698.75. So 2,700. That's a big number on the upside. Pre-market low 26.70 I have absolutely nothing there. I hope it holds. If not, look out, Loretta. We could be testing yesterday's low of 26.23. You have crude just bouncing trying to stay in the 52 handle, up 44 cents here at 51.90. Gold cannot clear 12.50. It's up 220 at 12.45.5. And Bitcoin, who our new guest, our new co-host for today, who's short from the $6,000 area. Bitcoin is down 282.50, trading at 33.05. That's the futures.
All right. We'll bring in Dennis first. Dennis, how's it going? How's your Friday?
It's going okay. Just looking here, a lot of trading action here. Market back a little bit of its from yesterday, but obviously it's big news. What you teased off the headline is Altria investing. Looks like a 45% stake in Chronos. Chronos is trading up 28% here this morning. If I look at my leaderboard, it is right up near the top there. If you get away from the penny stocks, it is the top leader here this morning, up 28%. So nice lift here. It's lifting the sympathy plays as well. We're looking at Afria trading up about 3%. If I look in Toronto, we can see Aurora Cannabis, ACB, trading up 8% here this morning. We've got CGC up 6%, Tilray's up 5%, MJ, which obviously owns a big chunk of Chronos as well in their ETF. It's trading up a little more. It's up 8% this morning. So nice lift for the pot stocks.
And let's bring in today's guest host. You can call him, I guess. You'll be with us throughout the show. Jerremy Newsome from Real Life Trading, standing right next to Joel there. Jerremy, how's it going today?
Going phenomenal, man. Feeling good, looking good, trying to be like you. It's a good day down here in Nashville.
Trying to be like us.
What's the weather like down there in Nashville? We got snow here in the D. What's the weather looking like?
It's not too bad, right, Joel? It's a little cold, but it's not too bad.
Below freezing, or you're above freezing?
Yeah.
What's cold? What's cold for Nashville? What's cold for Jerremy Newsome?
Well, put it this way. I had my light winter coat on yesterday, and also this guy who wears his real life trading stuff. So he had his real life trading hoodie on.
I had a hoodie, and that was it.
Yeah,
so it wasn't too bad. Mid 40s.
Yeah.
I want a real life hoodie. How do I get a real life hoodie?
I know. That's what I want. Well, I need a button.
Joel, are you coming home with real life hoodies? We want real life hoodies.
I'll hook you up.
But no, it's nice down here. I came down to do the show with Jeremy. Lisa's flying down tonight, and we are going to hit the Music City. So looking forward to that. And I'm here observing. I want to tell you guys one thing about Jeremy here, okay? I am standing on a treadmill. Okay.
Is that why you're moving around so much?
No. I'm just.
I don't have it turned on.
He doesn't have it.
Joel, you're swaying so much. I felt like you're on a boat. Are you on a boat?
Oh,
are you guys on a boat? You on a yacht? Are you on a real life yacht?
Not this time. Not yet.
You want to
He's swaying. Stop swaying.
Okay. I'm used to sitting down. I'm standing up.
Seasick.
Do you have to complain? Jeremy's on the show today. Can you not complain for once? Anyways, he has a treadmill here, and he'll do, what do you say, 4 to 5 miles a day?
4 to 5 miles a day, yeah. It's like one of those really wide treadmills. I'll just walk on. I have like a standing desk. It's nice.
And you're trading and walking on the treadmill at the same time.
Yeah, man. And talking usually.
Multitask master. I can't do anything. I have to sit right on my butt here. That's the only way I can trade. I know some people say, oh, I should get one of those standing desks, but I don't think I could do it.
No worries, man.
But anyways, I'll just do a quick technical on Chronos.
Yes.
It had that spike up to 13. This was a while back, and I thought that might be a level hold, but it took it out. So I like it above 13. I can see it definitely trading below that. I'll just give you your pre-market high. Your pre-market high is 1360. So you got a little one. You got someone making a stand in the last two brackets here at 1360. Pretty good volume trading. Above that, I mean, I see time high here. Got to take out that seller at 1360. That's my technical look on this one. Jeremy, you're the fader, or are you going with the trend on this one?
So good question. My thoughts on Chronos, CRON. We have a nice white candle from yesterday. So we talked about potentially doing a screen share. So let me just practice this really quick. I'll turn it off when I'm done. So Joe was asking me, what is it that I look for? If I'm looking for a stock, what's the first thing that jumps out at me? First thing, what's yesterday's buyers or sellers? So we actually do have some buying coming in the last 2 to 3 days. So a gap up at 1330, 1360, depending on where we open. If we open up here, most likely we're going to do a very similar move to right here. We're going to flush up because everyone's going to be excited. Oh, man, this is amazing for pot stocks. I need to buy me some. I need to hop on this joint venture that's happening. And then it's going to crash down. So, yeah, it'll fly up really quickly and then have a nice little crash later in the afternoon.
So you're fading the move. So I'm looking and I see multiple highs back in September. We broke through 14, but I can see that one high right on the kisser. September 20th was 14 right on the button. Are you looking like that area? Upper 13s as a fade? Like where are you going to strike if you're going to play the fade on this?
Low 14s. So
low 14s. Okay.
Yeah, 1410, 1420. I don't know if it makes a new high. It's certainly possible. What the previous all-time high was 1530. So I don't think it's going to get above there today. Certainly could, but I'm thinking more like low 14s, 1425, something like that. But it's going to be hard to. I mean, it's going to be hard to borrow anyway. So if we're going to play it, we're going to have to do some potential options on it.
Okay. Yeah. For me, it's like I keep eyeing that 1360, just 2 15-minute. We just took that out, 1380. So try the whole number 14. A lot of people buying here early November may want to book some profits. But Dennis, were you able to calculate any valuation on this? Where with that?
Well, I think the price, Spencer. I think it was in the press release. Wasn't it 16.25 they're in at?
Yeah, 1650 is. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So 16.25. You're right. 16.25 in Canadian dollars. It's a 45.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we got to go look at it in Canada to really get that price. That makes sense. I didn't realize it was in Canadian price.
Yes,
so
it is in Canadian
what's the symbol in Canada? Is it weed?
No.
Yeah, I think it is. No, it's CGC.
Yeah.
It's weed.
I don't know what Chronos in Canada is on Toronto.
Maybe it's not. Is it? It's got to be traded in Canada.
It's all just CRON on the TSX.
Is it CRON? Same symbol? Let's go check it out. I got Toronto pricing here right in front of me. Okay, so in Toronto right now, it's trading at 1885.
Wow.
So it is.
Wow.
I was wondering why it wasn't trading up 16.25 price, but that's in Canadian dollars. There you go.
Makes sense.
So we're significantly above that right now. We're trading at 1890 in Canada here right now, up 35%. The Arabs keep it in line anyway, so you can kind of pick your. You don't have to worry about the currency, and there's going to be a difference there. 20 years ago when I started, you had to worry about that, or actually you could profit from that. You can't anymore. The high-frequency Arbs will keep that perfectly in line. So it's trading. It's up 35% in Canada right now, 34% in the USA, and a lot of that is often to do with currency effects too.
Is it helping the other stocks in the sector?
It is. A little bit more of a muted response than I would have thought, but actually, you know what? It's starting to pick up. Like right on the headline, I was like, oh, they got a lift and then they pulled back, and that would have been the opportunity because they did pull back. I know Afria actually went back to the red. Now Afria, which had a great day yesterday, is up another 50 cents here this morning on this news, just trading up 8%. You got Aurora Cannabis. I own some Aurora Cannabis. ACB 9.47%. You've got MJ, which obviously is a direct beneficiary because it owns shares of Chronos, I believe, in its ETF. It's up 8%. Tilray, a little more muted response, only up 5%, maybe one of the bigger players. And if you don't want to look at the other ones like NBEV, you're starting to reach a little bit there, but it's trading up 6% as well.
Nice InBev reach. Yeah, that's smart.
Do you trade these actively, these pot stocks, Jeremy, or is this something that you just kind of watch and sit back and watch the fireworks, or is this something you actively get down and dirty in?
I don't get too dirty. I actually do more or less sit back and just kind of watch the fireworks. They're hard to short notoriously, and the options are insane on them. I've played a swing trade or two on the long side, but really, man, I kind of shy away for no particular reason other than I'm a giant baby. I
do too, and I think it's just it's harder to control and wild moves. And newer traders, maybe we could go and just ask you some stuff on this because you have a lot of traders with you. I always found, and I've been upright a long time, that new traders are obviously very attracted to stuff like this, the quick money, the big buck. Yep. Did you see? I had my phone lit up yesterday because Afria was up 50%. You had 4 or 5 people, wow, I'm moving Afria, but yeah, it's down 30% and 30% and 25%. Yep. I mean, people are attracted to those big moves. They're not attracted to the slower, maybe more even predictable, sometimes more boring stocks, but they're attracted to the big ones. And I always find that I've been trading 20 years, prop, like trading for a living, and it's difficult to trade this type of stuff, but that's where people want to gravitate to. Even on the show, that's what they want to trade, like in our chat room. And some of these guys are really good at trading this kind of stuff, but it's not really my cup of tea. So it doesn't really sound like it's your cup of tea either.
Yeah, it's hard because the challenge is for a lot of newer traders, they only think in terms of percentage gains. So they're thinking if I take 100,000 and it's up, if Chronos is up 30%, I could have made 30 grand. Yeah. So they're thinking they just take their money, buy into it. They don't think about the downside risk. They don't think about how much risk you have exposed. It's just pure, what is the overall P&L and how much. At least when I was a new trader, that's all I thought.
And I did too. I mean, it's natural to think like that as a newer trader, just to think about the upside, not the downside. And I think when I started trading in 1997, just retail, and I joined Bright in 1999, and I realized that I was doing everything wrong in 1990. I thought I was like a market genius in 97, 98. And we were in a bull market, so I was really benefiting from the bubble. It seems like the thing I bought go up and just didn't know what I was doing. I was just benefiting from a ridiculous bull market. But then I got right in 1999. It was like a wake-up call, and you start realizing that, hey, I've got to start getting disciplined here. I can't just hold on to a stock, and if it goes 20% against me, well, I'll come back. You've got to get that out of your head. You've got to start cutting those losers. And I think that's what a lot of people do wrong, is that they, get in a trade, then it moves against them, and they're like, okay, well, it'll come back. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Even if they come back 8 out of 10 times, those 2 that don't come back are going to really hurt your overall performance, even possibly your portfolio.
Dude, just that one trade, it's wild. Just that one really bad, you're just bag holding, buying Bitcoin at 19,000. It's just your bad investment, and that can wreck your whole year.
Jerremy,
so I want to go back. Was that a joke in the pre-market show? Are you short Bitcoin right now, Jeremy?
I'm short Bitcoin. Yeah.
Wow. And I love this because you know what? Jerremy Newsome will change his opinion, which is what you got to do sometimes. Because when we were talking like 3-4 months ago, you're like, rah Bitcoin at the 6,000 level, and it went to 8,000. When did you get bearish?
It's true. So the 6,000, he was asking me. He said, "Hey man, what'd you do at 6,000 on Bitcoin?" And I was like, "Dude, I was bullish until it broke, because once that level got taken out, I mean, I have to take my bias aside, right? I've got to short it. It was a very clean technical break.
That was.
Just perfect.
Gold futures? How'd you do it? How'd you do the short?
So in Kraken, you have leverage. You can do leverage. You can do shorting on Kraken. Okay. So that's the exchange I'm shorting it on right now.
Oh, sweet. So you're doing pretty well in that. So that's great. And you know what? I've been saying this. You see these on CNBC. You see every single day. You see, you know, the Bitcoin bull comes on. The Bitcoin bull comes on. This is for the last year, and it's just continued to go down. And before we were seeing about all the millionaires of crypto here. Well, there's got to be a few people that made some money on the short side. I want to start hearing from one. And look at this, Jerremy Newsome right there. One of our traders there, making money on the short side on Bitcoin.
Thanks, man. What's interesting though is I think she's going to go to 1,000, maybe even a little bit lower. It's got a little bit more room to go. I mean,
it seems to make new lows here every day. So why not? I mean, it's hard. You can't sit back. And I've said this. This is what we were saying at, you know, when I went from 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. I was just saying, you know, and I've got my CFA. You know, I did a lot, and sometimes, you know, I sit back and crunch numbers. I'm like, I don't have any numbers to crunch on Bitcoin. There's nothing for me to crunch. It's just numbers. It's just floating around. Like, how do you value it? There really is no way to value it. So, I mean, it really can go anywhere. It's all just technicals you got to use. And sweet on your part to realize that 6,000 once that broke. I mean, that was a no-heat trade straight down since then. Yeah, it's had a couple little rallies, a few days in there, but really, it's been pretty much straight down. So it's tricky. So it can go to 1,000. It could come back up. It could pretty much go anywhere. But I tell you, the trend is not your friend here. And I've not been a believer in crypto the whole time. And obviously, we were way up. We buy it all the way down. So I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, I was right. Because you know what? I was bearish Bitcoin since it was 2,000. It went to 20,000 in my face. Lucky I'm not a trader because I would have blew out for sure there. So, you know, now that it's come back down, you know, and now I could say I was right on the back end of it, but definitely way wrong on the front end of this.
Before we do some earnings, I want to ask Jerremy a quick question here. You know, for your new traders, you know, such a long bias market here. How do you, and some people, just the concept of shorting, you know, how do you get over that obstacle, you know, with new traders? Or, you know, when I talked to you yesterday a little bit, you had kind of hit your max loss on the, you know, on the long side. You didn't try any shorts. Like, what do you do? How do you get people over that hump of, you know, of the fear of shorting the market?
Usually I give them that risk formula. I mean, you let people know that shorting, if you're going to short, if you're going to play anything bearish, because like I said, for day trading, I predominantly look for bearish trades. I'll certainly go long, but I usually the bearish trades set up. It is all about risk, and the formula is quite simple. If you take whatever your risk is, so let's say it's $100. That's your R unit. That's your risk unit. That's how much you're going to lose on a trade. You then take your entry, you take your stop, whatever the difference between those two numbers is, that's your stop value, and you divide it out of your risk. So if your risk is 500 and you're shorting Facebook at 142 and your stop's at 143, that's a $1 stop. 500 divided by 1 equals 500 shares. That's going to be your risk, right? So you have a $500 risk. And if you let people know, I have a really good buddy actually by the name of Seymour. I don't know if he's watching this right now, but I just got him into shorting about a month and a half ago. I was like, dude, you just have to do it. He was only going long, great trader. But I was like, man, there's nothing to be afraid of. A lot of people are afraid of when they're going to short, you know, a stock's going to come out, it's going to rally, you know, 40,000%. They're going to get blown out of the water. And it just happens so rare intraday. Not saying it can't happen overnight, but intraday, you're more likely to be able to get stopped out, have your maximum risk, and be okay. So it just comes down to risk.
Are most of your traders just intraday there, Jerremy? And are you mainly just intraday, or you'll hold overnight?
No, I'll definitely hold overnight. I have a really good blend of traders that I work with, everything from day trading to longer term investing. I mean, it's a really great blend of because I think that's the way to do it. Wealth is created, obviously in the long term, gains in portfolios, holding your positions over years of time, accumulating shares, accumulating wealth. And then day trading can be used as a phenomenal hedge, right? So if you have this nice long portfolio and you have some trading capital over here, you're making money on the downside, you're able to hedge your risks with day trading, or you can make it a primary income as well. But that's usually a great way for anyone who's retired or has larger accounts. Maybe they just want to hedge their longs with day trading.
And that concept we talked about last night, like with the iPhone. You were talking about.
I was explaining how I explain shorting to newer traders. I was saying, if you have let's say this is an iPhone 15 or whatever, and you want to have it, I'll let you borrow it, right? And then if you take that iPhone and you sell it, you're short one iPhone. So all you have to do to get it is to buy another one, give it back to me, and everything is square, right? You actually helped make the market. You created liquidity, and so short selling is an invaluable tool in the markets, and it's a really great way to just help people understand that you're not doing something insane. It just totally makes sense.
This is a great segue just for a conversation. We saw some comments from Cooperman there on CNBC yesterday, and I think a lot of his comments there helped to stop the market from going down yesterday because he was saying it was a great buying opportunity. But he was blaming a little bit. I felt a little bit like he was trying to blame the shorts for the sell-off here. He was saying he was blaming the algos. He's blaming the uptick rule, the lack of an uptick rule. I kind of went back and I was on a little tweet storm there too with a few people there, just saying I think the uptick rule is a rule like that should not be brought back. It was partially brought back in the alternative uptick rule in 2010, which a lot of people don't realize. When a stock falls 10%, you have to short it above the bid for that day and the following day. So we saw that happen a lot yesterday. But I mean, just this mentality towards shorts. People think it's like you got people who downright think like this is just un-American to short stocks.
Yeah.
That it's literally evil to short stocks, and that when the stocks are going down, everybody wants to blame the shorts. And I think CNBC, some of the commentators on there believe it as well. And really what they don't understand is that exactly what you just said, Jeremy, is that the shorts provide liquidity to the market. And without shorts, you'll see bubbles come, on different stocks. Like this is why stocks like Tilray go to $300 because you can't get the locate on them. So there's nobody that can really play the other side to say, hey, this is ridiculous that the stock is up here. There's nobody on the sell side. So a buyer comes in, or if somebody's getting, potentially, they're probably not getting margin call, or maybe they were. But I mean, just it keeps prices more in line. It keeps inefficiencies from existing in the market. So I find it very offensive when people come on, and people who are well followed on CNBC, and saying, we shouldn't, we should bring back the uptick rule and control the shorts and control the algos. I mean, a lot of, the algorithmic trading is just simple market making. So let's not just blanket statement. Yes, there's some bad players. Yes, there's some people who do, or some firms that maybe do some aggressive stuff with their algorithms, but 99% of the algorithmic trading out there is fairly clean. Most of it's institutional algorithms that are just working their orders to reduce price impact. So I think these blanket statements like, the algos are killing us, or, the shorts are, it's just all the shorts doing this. I think it just, it's not helpful out there. So I found it even offensive when, you got somebody well followed there on CNBC basically blaming the shorts for yesterday's sell-off.
I agree, man. I am 100% on your side with that, because if someone wants to buy something, why shouldn't you sell it to them? And that's all short sellers are doing. You're selling someone who wants to buy it, and maybe you can buy it at a lower price, but they're okay. They bought it. They're happy with what the price that they purchased at. Did they overpay? Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Right. So yeah, you're completely accurate.
So let's jump. We've been talking a lot of different stuff here. Let's jump to the news from this morning, which is usually we're usually a news show, but this is good. I like having a little bit of educational segment as well, and especially when we got somebody like Jerremy Newsome on the show. But let's jump over, bring Spencer Israel back in here, because we had some big reports last night. Lululemon reported earnings. LULU, give us those results, and we'll break down the pre-market action.
All right, Lululemon Athletica Q3 adjusted EPS 75 cents versus 70 cent at 5 cent beat there. Sales 748 for $737 million. So beat on the top and bottom line for the Q3. The Q4 EPS guidance was in line. The Q4 sales guide was in line. The fiscal year EPS guidance was higher, and the fiscal year sales guidance was higher as well. So a higher fiscal year guidance. Earnings beat for the third quarter.
BTFD working on this one. Joel, how low did we get there last night? Because I saw this down in the low 120s.
121.39 is your after hours low, And you know what? Some stock traded down there. You had nearly 200,000 shares trading hands on that bracket. And this is one thing that, we talk about, is like when you have targets, if you're trading in the after hours in pre-market and you have a target at 125 in Lulu, then put your order out there.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
And because, 124, 120, I could have had it at 120. And you know what? It turns out, starts going up. You have absolute, if it was, after it hit that, let's say it went 122, 124, if you went to buy 1,000 at 125, you wouldn't get it. So that's this lesson. Obviously we're going to back and fill now. I'm not going to see that spike down to what, 120, 194. Jeremy, you got a lower print than that on this?
I haven't.
That might be an odd line. Yeah.
Buzzy said he saw 116. I did not see that last night, but I wasn't actively trying. I just have it in my filter, so I kept seeing the price pop up. I saw the low 120s. So, in any regard,
I see 113.
You saw 113?
Yes, 1365.
Spinner says 113.65 too.
Yeah.
You got a 113?
I have a 113.
Jazz is 113.65 as well. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Man, that got way overdone. And you know what? Then they come out. The call had some bullish comments on the call, so that was helping it along as well. But some of these stocks all depends on sentiment. Like I've been saying this for a long time. It's like if you're reporting on the right day, they can shrug off some bad news. If you're reporting on the wrong day, they'll shrug off the good news. And this was a great day really for the markets. You can say, what are you talking about, Dennis? We were down yesterday. You saw the rally in the afternoon. That was an incredible rally. So I will say that was a good day for the market yesterday. When you're down 780 Dow points and you almost close flat, that is a hell of a day for the bulls.
Heck of a day.
And you got Lululemon coming out after the ballot. It sees this dip. Everybody's got the mentality, oh man, I wish I would have bought the dip on this market. Now you get a dip and one of widely followed stocks. People are like, I'm not missing this opportunity. And they use that dip opportunity to come in and buy it. Now, media will justify and they will say, oh, they said this on the conference call. They said this. And they did say some bullish stuff. But I'll tell you, a lot of times it's sentiment trumps fundamentals. And the sentiment and just people coming in saying, I want to buy the dip on something. Possibly, comes in. And here you are, the overall market too right now. Jobs is ready to come up. I'm going to take off 2 minutes. You guys keep handling the show. But I'm trying to figure out, are they jumping the gun here? Did something come out early? Because we're really bouncing around ahead of this jobs number.
Just real quick, Lulu, keep an eye on that closing price of 131.44 if you're trying to protect some longs here. I don't see anything coming out. We'll go to the SPOO chart here. I was discussing with Jeremy this morning. We got just below the daily pivot, so potentially a lower risk buy. And then I also talked to him, and you guys are sick of hearing about the 50% retracements. Mid-range on the session was 26. We did take that out. Now, 2 things we're looking for here on the jobs number, besides, real, I'm going to just talk technicals here. Unchanged on the day, takes you at 26.91. Potential target if you want to play a bounce in this. Also, pre-market high, 26.98.75. If we get over 2,700, folks, and you're short, I don't know if there's anywhere to hide here. Because yesterday's high, Thursday's high, which actually occurred went early on Thursday morning or Wednesday morning when the market was closed. That was 2720.75 there. But getting people a little nervous here ahead of the numbers.
As far as the numbers, we're looking for 2 biggest numbers, as always, unemployment rate and non-farm payrolls. For unemployment, we're looking at a 3.7%. That would be the same as last month. For non-farm payrolls, looking for 200,000 jobs added. 250,000 is what was added last month. And now we are within 30 seconds or so of this number, Joel.
I'm just going to say, early on Tuesday, everyone decided we're going into recession, right? Recession.
Bye.
So is it going to be a hot number and everyone's going to be worried about inflation? The 5 and the 10 and wrote it. Now we automatically going to have a recession. I don't think you can determine that in one day, but probably going to be just in line here. Hopefully we won't have, crickets off here, but the early people were leaning a little bit to the long side as you saw that quick 6 point, now 26.90.
155.
Here we are down $1.50 trying to clear the close. The close 26.91. We're knocking on the door here. We're going to go green here, trying to go green. The close is being defended right now, 26.91. We haven't had much of a dip yet here, so the people at this number are keeping closing price 26.91. Starting to fade, hanging out. The feeling this is going to back here pretty quickly. We were at 26.86 before the number came out. Let's see what our pop was. We kissed the close yet? Tick above the close. The closing price from Thursday, 27. Your high on that little pop, 26.91 and a quarter. Will be your bogey here. You get above that, we'll take a shot at the pre-market high. But right now, pretty quiet. Let's see. Spencer, you want to give us the actual numbers?
Yeah, week number 155,000 was the non-farm payrolls versus a 200,000 estimate. Unemployment rate was in line at 3.7%, but we were weaker on the non-farm payrolls at a 155 versus 200,000.
So a lot to digest there. That's people. I don't know if they're going to be super stoked about that, but I mean the unemployment rate. That's a good number.
Unemployment rate's a good number. A little miss on the job probably gives a little bit more fuel to the fire for the for the economy slowing down here a little bit. But I don't know. So far, folks. We gave you the number that closed 26.91, and we'll see what happens before the open. But struggling to get green. People want out at that mark, 26.91. Let's just see what your financials are doing.
Slightly down, Joel. We're getting a little bit of a downtick. It's a muted response. We had a lot of chop on the initial headline because liquidity providers back off, obviously, and you got some buyers, sellers, which is what causes the chop. But you're right back to pretty much where we started.
Yeah.
Banks ticking down slightly, TLT ticking up slightly. So obviously, when you see the TLT go higher, that's often bad for the banks. Just slight though, so it reverses trade again there. But I am seeing Bank of America trade down about 0.5%. JP Morgan trading down 20 cents. Citigroup trading down 20 cents. So it's kind of quiet. Like there wasn't a lot of, and besides the chop that we had right on the initial headline, there's not a real strong reaction in either direction to this number.
Jeremy, how do you incorporate this information into your? Is it noise to you? Is it
right now? Yeah, right now. I'm just all the open. I really focus on trying to figure out how it opens because right now you have, if I'm not mistaken, 57 minutes until market open. So there's so much that's going to happen.
A lot of time. Yeah, a lot happens in those 57 minutes. I'll give you a quick look at the opening imbalances at 8:30. Jeremy, we get the imbalance information from the NYSE floor to give us a little bit of an early indication of how some of the New York stocks might open. I've been joking, GE is like this eternal sell imbalance, and there are 142,000 shares to sell. There's been a seller every morning, I feel like, in GE for 2 years. I feel like it's incredible how resilient this seller has been because I feel like they're selling 200,000 shares every morning. And sometimes you'll see a buy and bounce because maybe the market as a whole has 300,000 to buy. But it seems like there's just one seller on 150 to 200 every single morning. And he's there again today. He or she is there again today. $7.26 GE is trading down. I mean, the trend is still awful in the stock. I think I've been talking and joking with you. I think it could go to $5. I think, I don't know if that's where the Deutsche Bank, the old analyst there, a friend Inch, who's now with, who's Spencer? Who's he with now? Inch? John Inch?
Joel, help me out here.
What's his new firm? He was always at Deutsche Bank, but he switched 6 months ago.
Oh, Gordon Haskett, right.
And I say this guy was the guy that called it from $29 a short all the way down. So until he gets bullish, that's the day that I'll get bullish because he knows more about the fundamentals of GE than I do. So all I do is follow the Inch indicator. The Inch indicator last time was talking $5, so I'll go along with Inch and say I'll talk $5 as well. Is this one you trade, Jeremy? You get down in GE?
Man, no, dude. GE, unfortunately, it's old money. It's just going to slowly keep
slow for you. This one's too slow for you. The pod stocks are too fast. G's too slow. Where's the sweet spot, Jerremy Newsome? That's what I want to know.
I like the text, man. I'm Facebook, Netflix, Apple fan. I mean, those are.
That's the sweet spot. I like those stocks too.
Yeah, I like FANGs. Those are good. But yeah, GE, I agree with you. I think we go down to the $5 mark, and then at some point, next 3 to 4 years, it gets chopped up and sold up for parts.
Wow, not a good outlook there from Jerremy Newsome.
Of the parts.
Man, it's going to be. I'm trying to figure out who's going to buy them.
It's $7.28 right now.
Well, they were talking to some of the parts. I saw people on CNBC saying it was $17 or $18. I guess they're going to have to lower those price targets there because they've been selling stuff off. Little things, a few things have been sold off already, and obviously continuing to leak. So if you're coming in, and this is just my opinion, but as a long-term investor, if you're investing in companies because you think the sum of the parts is worth more than the company, I mean, that's a tough gig. Because when a fire sale, some of those parts are worth a hell of a lot less than you think they are. I want to invest in solid companies that are growing. This is not a company that is growing. It's a company that's trying to find its way. And yeah, sure, somebody's going to get the bottom, but I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be because of their geniusness. It's going to be because of luck. Somebody eventually will get the bottom in GE. It's not going to be me because I'm not going to be buying it. But somebody will get the bottom. And they'll say how, they analyzed it all and they knew this was going to be the bottom. But there's been people all the way down 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 that thought they were getting the bottom. They didn't. So let somebody else get the bottom. Wait till it starts showing an uptrend, show some life. And then maybe you can get involved on a long side. But this trend is just absolutely not your friend.
Someone asked about Jeremy does a swing trading after the close, and someone had a GE, and I said, I was helping them out with it. And I'm like, man, I thought we were the only people on Wall Street that still talked about GE. But you got to figure people are looking at their year-end tax filing and their statements and stuff. And, hey, you got to have some losses and mixed year in the market. So I think just that year-end tax filing is going to keep us down the rest of December. Maybe if you make a double monthly bottom and, the December and the January low match, I think a lot of people thought that last year, but I just think that, that the year-end tax selling is going to keep the pressure on it. Spencer, people want to get back to earnings. Where do you want to go?
Let's bring it back to the earnings parade. We had a couple more notable ones this morning. I'll start with Big Lots. They're down this morning. They reported this morning a Q3 GAAP EPS of a 16-cent loss, down from a 6-cent gain on a year-over-year basis. Sales for the quarter $1.14 billion. So in line there, but their Q4 comps guidance flat to up 2%, and they lowered their fiscal year EPS guidance by almost $1 from $4.40 on the low end of the range to $3.55. A big guidance cut for Big Lots this morning.
This is one me and Joel have had right on this show, I believe. We've been bearish Big Lots ever since they cleaned up the stores. I told you, and I always joke about this, but I used to go to these Big Lots all the time because I go for the deal. I go in there and be like, I don't mind buying the aspirin container where the box is a little bit crushed because it fell off a pallet because I get it for half price. But you go in those stores now and they cleaned them all up. And they're not the deals in there anymore. Big Lots, get back to the deals. We come in there, the shoppers are coming there for the deals. And they lost their way. And since they've lost their way, in my opinion, I believe they fundamentally lost their way. They were trying, to get all class up the stores, make them nice, and you don't find deals in there anymore. So get back to for that going in there for the deals. Focus on that again. But anyways, this has just been, a nightmare here in this year. It was $60 at the beginning of the year. It's been basically cut in half at $33. I don't know where the bottom is. This trend is not your friend either. We did have a low if we go back into May, I believe, trying to grab it at 36.20. So you're cutting below that. You're 33.50. I think rips to be sold in this one. I'm not going to come in here and try to call the bottom.
Spoos go green here, Dennis. We're getting a little bit of a rally.
Wow.
Seeing green on the screen, and now here we are. Next target, 2698.75. That is your pre-market high. I don't know if you're gonna
look at Apple right now, man. I wish options could be traded after hours.
We were discussing an Apple swing trade, and We missed the bottom yesterday, but I still think, man, lean on it. If it goes through it again, you got to look at it. But, man, there's a triple bottom there. Jeremy actually put an order out for the open to try and the D's 28, 175 call. And we were hoping to get a lower open to get that. But big lots is getting pounded here. There's absolutely no – what's your pre-market low? You continue to make new lows.
Yep.
33.20. I'm just going to say there was a low in the 33 handle back in January 2016. But we'll go to our expert on this. The man. So you're shorting this, right, Jeremy? The trend is down. They're killing it in the pre-market. You got to get in there and just whack this.
Well, so here's what's interesting. So here's what I'm looking at immediately So we have a bunch of shorts already in this. So we have 3 or 4 days in a row of constant selling. And the last earnings, gap down, fade up, gap down, fade up, gap down, fade up.
Looking to buy it.
Exactly. So this thing is going to gap down 20, 25%. It's going to be down. And it's going to throw in a nice lower shadow. All the newbies are going to be like, oh, this is the time short after it's 25% down. And then probably going to get, I do agree with Dennis, 100% short the rip on big loss. This is not a viable long-term position. But for a day trade, the last 3 earnings gapped down and got wrecked and then faded. So let's go with that trend. That's my thought.
I love that idea. How do you control the risk on something like that? So let's say it opens at like 33.5 where it is. What do you do then? So where do you initiate a long? Set this up for me just in a hypothetical situation.
It doesn't even have to be that hypothetical. Are you able to, so I got my screen sharing just in case
I like that. I like non-hypothetical stuff.
Yeah.
It's real life trading. We set up real trades.
That's what I'm saying.
Real life trading, dude.
That's right, baby. Here's my thought. So right now, this is a 2-minute time frame on big lots. So what I'm expecting is if this pre-market low, let's just say 33.23, most likely will not hold. So what's going to happen is you're going to get that really nice wave rotation, that nice S curve. It's going to come down again, 32.28 and some change, something of that extent. And what I'm going to look for is a little bit of a lower shadow.
Define shadow. What do you mean shadow?
Yeah, the white shadow.
A wick. So pretty much where the price is going to be going lower. So like this, but in reverse. So you see this really nice upper wick right here. So I'm looking for a lower shadow to get put in, which is pretty much the sign that the buyers are going to come in, people are going to start shorting, and then it's going to get rallied up. And then my play will be something like this. It'll be an entry around like 30.46, and then up down 31.46. You can be pretty conservative because Big Lots right now has had like a $4 pre-market move. So even with a $1 stop, you're looking at easily a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 risk reward by some pre-market resistance. So once you determine your entry and exit, that's where you just come up with the easy math formula. How much is your risk divided by your stop value? That's how many shares you're going to buy all the time.
It just, Jeremy's giving comments with specific levels. Dennis and I will refer to the opening price, and it's kind of the whoops trade. Let's say we open 33.25 here. They flush it out. There's something else in there. Some people that just like, right, boom, you hit the stops. You go 32. Let's say you go 31.5. Then you get a rebound. If you can rebound back up to that opening price, now you might have to use a little bit more of a generous stop, but you can lean on that early morning low. Sometimes you just get slammed in it. It goes up and makes a new high by a couple ticks. But for a reference, there's, it's a New York stock, a lot of liquidity on the open. Again, in pre-market prep, we put a lot of emphasis on the opening price, and Jeremy just provided us with a different setup here.
Yep.
Spoos up 5.25, 26.
Buy the dip, man. That worked again here. So somebody asked me on my Twitter, I think it was Kaylee, he's always got some good stuff and commentary, and he asked me some good questions there on Twitter. And he said, what hat are you wearing? Are you wearing the buy the dip hat or the sell the rip hat? And I'm like, you know what? I'm wearing both hats here today. I'm wearing both hats here until proven otherwise. So I'm buying dips and selling rips. I tell you this morning, if you were buying that dip, you're already rewarded here this morning because we were down 20 handles here at one time. We were back to flat. Now, I don't know. We haven't had a rip really here yet, so I'm not really saying I'm going to come in here and short us when we're flat. The one thing I will say is, if you go to the dailies, it is kind of tricky because you have to 281. We flushed everybody down to the lows. Now you kind of sit here in the middle, so it gets a little bit more tricky. But this market is whipsaw, and the fade trade is still out there. That's why I like Jeremy's setup even on the big lots. We saw that work last night in the Lululemon. So I actually like that idea too. Even what maybe Joel was talking about, where it opens, to get a little flush out the back, comes back up through that open, lean on that or that low in the day then at ops. So it's different ways to set things up, but I tell you, the fade trade is working here in this market. It's been working for a long time.
Crude catching a bid here. A few crude traders up 215. I'm not sure been any talk about.
We had news. We had news on that. We had news on that just as the show was starting, actually, that OPEC had agreed to, or Iran had agreed to an OPEC deal where OPEC's going to cut 800,000 barrels a day from their production. So we did have oil news at like 8:03.
All right, I'll give you guys a big number here. The big number, crude is going to be 54.5. Your 3 and 4 day lows flank that number. Current high is 54.11. I see another high in the 54 handle. So that's your target. I don't think you're really going to get the shorts to squirm until you can clear 55. But big move. Got to have some kind of meaningful retracement off this $76 high. So keeping eye 54.5. In the oil
the
market.
Lows held, Joel, from the last few. They tested it again yesterday, just like they tested everything. The Apple, the 170. A lot of those old lows held, which is the good news. And the lows on crude held as well. We did not get as low as we did, the 4 trading sessions ago when we got down. I don't have the equivalent because I'm looking at the USO, but it held. So, and now you're coming up. So that's the one good news here for the bulls on multiple asset classes and multiple stocks is the lows from November held yesterday on that wicked sell-off. And so there's a bull case out there.
Yep.
All right. Continue on with some earnings.
Let's go Tesla. Thrasher's asking about it. Going over to ratings here just for a minute. Spencer, we got some ratings action on TSLA.
Yep, a couple interesting ratings this morning, Tesla being the most interesting of them. Catching an upgrade from Jefferies this morning from hold to buy. Price target raised from 360 to 450.
That would be over the 420 takeout price. That was obviously not for real back in the day. And I mean, the bear case is just broken here. And props to Jason Raznick from Benzinga, who has been bullish this the whole time. I owned it. I had once. I had it. I pulled on to it. I just couldn't stomach owning it. But, we've been kind of on the bull Tesla train for a long time. I just couldn't stomach owning the thing. But I tell you, the bear thesis was they're burning cash. This company doesn't have enough cash flow to get through the next quarter. They've got, counting, or they've got this, they got that. A lot of those issues, go away if this company starts to make money, and they did last quarter. Some people don't believe that they made money. They think he's fudging the numbers or they're doing some funny stuff. But I tell you, right now, the overall market is saying they believe it. And this stock is 370. It's got growth. The cars are awesome. It's got all the recipes. It wouldn't go down. When the market was going down, it wouldn't even go down. The relative strength on this has been unbelievable. I have no reason to come in here and say 370 is the top, so I'm not coming in here. I'll stay I'll stay on the sidelines with my bull Tesla hat on.
Okay. I'm with you. I think this one's going to be making new all-time highs in the next few weeks. Just throw it up there, like it'll pop up into the low 400s, high 390s. That's when everyone's gonna hop on, right? All the newbies, they're like, oh, finally, it's made new all-time highs. This is when I'll get in.
That's when you're gonna fade it.
Yeah, exactly. But I love this gap on Tesla, and I am definitely watching it all morning. We could see it at 385 by this afternoon. I mean, that's
wow,
awesome.
Bold call here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shorts and there's a lot of people short this thing. And what's the short interest? Do you have it in front of you?
No.
Do you have it in front of you?
Short interest, real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
I'll give you some targets on this one, just short-term targets, and on the day with the famous tweet on the takeover, you had a high of 387.46. Your secondary high, that when it does start would be 264. So I see absolutely nothing in there to get to those. And I mean, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Jeremy's going to teach me how to buy this off the open.
Okay.
I'm not going to short it, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, he's going to teach me how to buy, because what I'd be doing, I'd be sitting, maybe if it fills the gap from yesterday, 367.50. You know,
certainly possible.
Yeah,
certainly possible.
Yeah, to fill that. I mean, not love following, the analyst calls and everything, but there's a lot of short interest and a lot of air in this thing. And
speaking of short interest, did you get that number, Spencer? Griffin's saying 22%.
Oh, that's high.
I saw 18 when I just got a quick look the other day. I didn't go look it up right now because I thought Spencer had it. Spencer?
It's in that area. I can't get an exact number
18
right now,
to 22. Yeah, I mean, this is always a moving target to a certain extent, but call it 20%. It's high. And you know what? If you're short this thing, you got to be a little bit scared. I mean, there are some big time names who are short this thing on the record, and they got to be thinking, man, this, couldn't go down on this. It couldn't go down on that. The overall market was collapsed 2 days ago. This couldn't go down. Now you get Jeffries coming out, the thing's up in your face here again. There's some shorts that are ready to puke on this.
Dennis, we need an over-under for an Elon tweet making fun of the shorts again.
That's the wild card. And that's the hope for the short thesis, in my opinion, is Elon does something or says something dumb.
That's it.
Because the company is solid. Aviator once saying the short float's 25%. That's from Trade Ideas. So we've got it in the 20s anyways, it looks like. There's some people who are getting rocked on this on the short side. And you know what? I would not want to be short this stock, even though it's starting to get back up to those highs. And I agree with Jeremy. It's going to be a short here at some point in time where it gets interesting, where everybody's like, the fake, maybe the breakout becomes a fake out or something like that. But at this point in time, I think you're early if you're jumping in here just shorting this gap up this morning.
All right, any other interesting ratings that you wanted to touch on, or you want to go back in
stocks, Mr. Elconin? Fizz. It's been a while since stock Fizz. It's catching an upgrade at Guggenheim here this morning, I believe just to neutral. But here's a stock that's been in an ugly downtrend. Remember, this was one you were following closely there for a while. What are your thoughts here, FI Zebra, Mr. Elconin?
I mean, there is just a ton of daily support here from 81 to 84. So I'd be, more inclined. It was an upgrade, did you say?
Yeah, but just to neutral. Was it neutral, Spencer?
Yes.
I mean, you had all this congestion in April, May, and June, just in the lower $80 handle. Now you're just, developing that same kind of congestion. So I like to see a little bit of a trading range here. 81.54 was your low from yesterday. When did we have a low? We had lows back at 83, 81.95. I don't mind this for a swing trade from the long side. I mean, you got, if you're here $4 or $5, buying it, let's say you get it at 85, you lean on the low of the move here, have a meaningful retracement. I am not fading this upgrade to neutral in Fizz.
Only other interesting ratings this morning. JP Morgan had a note they're downgrading a lot of oil and gas stocks here this morning. They're downgrading Chesapeake, Carrizo, High Point, Matador, Gulf Point. So a bunch, probably a half dozen or so downgrades to oil and gas stocks from JP Morgan.
It looks like they're going to be late to the party on this. I mean, Chesapeake, just for instance, was $4.50 a month ago. Now it's $2.80. Now you're downgrading it.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, JP Morgan, but late to the party. These are chasing. These I don't give them much weight. Chesapeake, a lot of these are trading higher today too. Almost all of them are trading higher despite the downgrades because oil is up this morning. But I mean, go late to the party. It's hard to give weight to this.
Agreed.
And that was pretty much it as far as ratings are concerned. Let's go back to earnings, though. We have a couple more I wanted to get to. Let's go to AOBC, American Outdoor Brands. They had earnings after the close yesterday. And they reported EPS 20 cents versus a 14-cent estimate, sales of $161 versus $154 million. So a beat on the top and bottom line for the Q2. And that's no guidance. That's all I saw. So beat.
The old Smith & Wesson getting a nice lift up 13%. The direct peer is obviously RGR, which is Sturm Ruger. It is trading slightly higher last night, bit up here this morning. So I would imagine you're going to see that get a lift here as well. But the direct play, obviously AOBC trading up near this 14 area. It's where it struggled for a couple times in November. Let's see how it can respond at 14, but hard to chase this one up here, 13% this morning.
Yeah, 14, that's going to be the level of control. Another pair of highs at 14, 45, and 46. But this is a Jerremy Newsome stock. So it's moving, Jeremy. It is up $1.79 at 14 even. I think we have some pretty good volume trading in this one. Not great volume. 1424 is your pre-market high. Jeremy, what's the setup on Smith & Wesson?
So this one's really interesting because you have a solid double bottom coming in on American outdoor brands with some really good volume. And we really did kind of test the neckline. So you got this low, came up, this low, huge volume on earnings. And we've retested the neckline. So really the fact that we're gapping above 1350, I like. I do think, since if I go over here to a daily chart, you can see, and I'll just delete all these lines, you can see that we had a really good buyer yesterday, and especially since it came below the low of this huge white candle. So a few people probably trapped on the short. So I think a gap up, realistically, will probably pull back a smidge just because you had all the buying yesterday. So most likely pull down to 1350, but as crazy as it sounds, I'm expecting a nice little move similar to what it had last earnings after it dips. I think that this is a good buying gap on American outdoor brands.
Where do you think? Where would your price target on something like this be?
Back up to the high on a swing trade, so about 1590, I think.
Wow. So it's got some room. So you're actually looking at it's fun, and like you're fading a few of these gaps, but you're buying this one. What's the major difference you're seeing? Just because it had the gap and go last time, is that kind of what you're looking at?
Yeah, just kind of like the price levels on this. I mean, I like the fact that, again, all that volume came in with that really huge double bottom, and there are some shorts trapped. Just technical level. This is really when the selling began. This candle right here on November 27th, we were at 1330, went down all the way to 11.5. So the fact that we're clearing 1360, I think it does sell off early, but then it will be a buying opportunity just because it is clearing so many. And just like you mentioned, it had a perfect gap and go on last earnings. So I think that it's going to try a little bit of a bid again from that price.
Is RGR responding at all, Dennis?
No, we just mentioned there's no trades this morning. It's going to it's bid up. It's going to trade up. The best offer is way up at 56.5. I'd imagine it's going to be up at least a couple bucks. So it's 53.31. Usually the sympathy moves there do play out. I mean, you can look last time we reported RGR had about a 4-point sympathy move with it. So this is a big move again. So obviously if the leader gives it back, then that's a different story. But if it takes off, like, Jeremy's saying it might, I think RGR will have a sympathy move as well. And we'll probably see it at least up a couple bucks.
I just want to go back to the CRON here. Jeremy, you were talking, you said lower 14s. Was that just, people taking it through the whole number and then getting shaken out? Because now you're back here at 1362. That's
right.
Yeah,
it popped up right at the low 14s and now kind of coming back. The thing is, on a technical, you just have it's just so obvious, right? And anything that's super, super obvious in the market, that tells me that someone's going to be playing that out there, and they're about to get hosed. Because the more obvious it is, the more easy money pile on, and it's not going to be.
Yeah, and I look at it too, like on the daily here. Like here, man, when you went up to 14, I mean, you caught a cold. I mean, and you went right down to 2-for-1 stock split here.
Yeah.
So besides the people that are chasing this, looking for that all-time high, here you have people that are trapped that are looking to get out. And then
exactly.
Also, Dennis, it was trading $1.25 over the Canadian takeout price over there. So, or not takeout, but rumored.
It still is.
Yeah.
16 a quarter. It's over $2 above what MO just put in. So obviously it's trading significantly above it.
Yeah, it's a good gap, no question. But the thing is, the thing is that you're a little late to the party. The The beer's kind of warm. There's only Rolling Rock left at the party. Like,
that's a good beer. I love Rolling Rock.
Because it's cheap, Dennis. That's why you like it.
Dry queso, the chips are a little stale. So you have all these buyers.
PBR and Rolling Rock. Those are my beers.
Of course.
A lot of people would say PBR. They don't know what you pass Blue Ribbon. You can't be a good pass Blue Ribbon.
All that PBR love, man. I'm telling you.
Not Petrobras. Real quick. Real quick, Jeremy. Why do you use TradingView charts? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. I get asked that a lot. I like TradingView. I do have Thinkorswim up. You guys aren't able to see it. I got it across 8 monitors. But I like TradingView because it's browser-based. It's free, so it's a great educational tool for newer traders, right? If you're brand new, you don't want to use Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers if you're a newer trader. And so that's a lot of the people that I help and educate are kind of newer in the game. And number 3, I really like the social component. So the fact that you can save charts, you can share ideas, and you can go back and look at what happened over time is a really useful tool. Great drag and drop features. And they're going to be integrated with Interactive Brokers in the next year and a half. That'll be really huge. And they also do integrate right now with some Forex and crypto brokers. So it's solid, man. I like TradingView a lot. And it really has great replay features. So like going back in time to go candle by candle to practice, your trading, like the historical replay mode is money.
All right, Joel.
Spencer, we got the chat requesting a few more minutes here and a few more tickers. I don't know how you guys are doing over there, but I will take off in a couple minutes. I can go about 2-3 more minutes.
We can go a couple more. There is we can do like AVGO.
Some of those are there's some companies.
Let's go there. All right, let's do Ulta and Broadcom were on the list that we hadn't to yet. So Ulta was after the close yesterday. ULTA. The Q3 EPS there, $2.16 versus that's in line, and sales $1.56 billion also in line. Guidance was reaffirmed as well for the fiscal year and the Q4. So nothing crazy good or bad about that report. Everything is pretty much in line.
I see top man Chan for the 264 there in the trading on this 276 right now. I think he's looking at all those we had in October, November. Jeremy, we got a shot to get down there to 264.
I think we do, man. I do. This is a good gap because you had so many buyers yesterday.
Good point.
Yeah, so I throw my screen on really quick, but we had just a whole. I mean, this is a really nice buying candle. Good volume. Another interesting thing to consider. I mean, just for my technical fans, you got what appears to be some type of level top where you close below the line on whatever the heck day that was, Tuesday. And then we retested it yesterday. So the fact that we're gapping down, I mean, we're gapping into this zone. So we don't stop. I don't know why I have 272 on here, but it looks like that's a support level of some kind. But, oh, sorry, actually, that's the pre-market support. Here's the 5-minute chart. 5-minute charts. If I zoom in, you have this like cute little buying. That's probably this right there. Buying that up, and so a break below that candle, she's without question going to 268. But then from there, most likely lower.
Pre-market low 69.01. This stock has just had one heck of a run here. Bottomed under $200, thrown out in everyone's portfolio when you bought them at 192.50, came all the way back to very close to the all-time high. Actually did make it a new all-time high here. So below momentum, that pre-market low, and man, there's just nothing there on the monthlies to lean on here. Really, I just be using, if you do get this on the short side, just use your half and whole number. I see a 263.01. I think maybe someone mentioned that in the chat. That was your October low. So keep an eye on 263.01.
And then one I wanted to get to was Broadcom, AVGO. They reported that yesterday as well. Pull those earnings up here. Q4 EPS of $5.85 versus $5.58 estimate. So that's a beat. Sales $5.44, $5.39 billion. So beat on both. The fiscal year sales guidance was a tick higher, and they also added $6 billion to their buyback plan. So AVGO, and what's up with them this morning?
Gapping up, but we're off the pre-market highs.
Yeah. Dennis, go ahead, give me your analysis.
No, I was just going to say, where did we get to last night there? I always like jotting down the after hours pre-market highs as well. So I know Joel's got those numbers sitting right in front of him. I think it's like 243.
243.75.
And that coincides actually fairly nicely. Not really. 247. I mean, you had resistance up there. So you've given back $6 of it. It's a gap. You know what? On my hand, this is sit on hands trade for me. I'm not going to make a call on this one. It's one I'm going to stay on the sidelines.
Jerry, 1072, 237.96, $6 off the pre-market high, $240 stock. This one, draw your eye or it off.
I probably won't play this one. By sharing, you got a pretty decent bullish buying candle yesterday. Most stocks did. So on this particular one, gapping up to kind of a non-event level, this 237 area. So my thought is this one probably does fade. Most likely fills the gap just because you got this hammer of Thor, Chris Hemsworth hanging out right here. And this gap, it probably fades because you're going to have people that are pretty excited. It's Broadcom. Dividends are coming up. So you're going to have a lot of people buying into the dividends, as you mentioned. And, over the next, it doesn't happen today, that gap will fill.
All right, Spencer, did we cover the rest of the stuff in the chat?
We covered, pretty much. We'll do one more. Let's just look at ABX real fast, Barrick Gold.
Okay. We haven't talked about
ABX. Nice.
I'm an eternal seller of all gold stocks, even though this chart looks okay. It looks okay. So I'll give you the chart. Chart looks like it's trying to break out there. I'm just not a believer in gold long term. So, I've been calling for gold and obviously calling it wrong here for a little while, but I'm calling gold eventually under $1,000. It's come back up pretty substantially. I think I've been calling that for a long time. So it's had a nice little rally here in the last couple of months, probably a little more defensive trade. If the market ever starts to turn around and the gold starts getting hit, I'm just not a big believer in the long term. I just don't think gold's got as much luster as it used to.
Is there news on this? Did it have earnings or any news?
Well, gold's up.
Okay. 1341. That was your high on October 19th. You faded off that. So I keep it. I'd use that as support. Yesterday's.
Wait, there is news. I wasn't even following this. Spinner, is it getting bought? Is it Barrick Gold getting bought out?
No. They put up one of the units up for sale yesterday. That's
because he just says being bought by gold, which is
GOL.
Okay. I see GOLD trading up substantially too. I don't know if there's a headline.
I'd be quite interested in this if it pulled back to the closing price at 1337. You're pretty close to filling the gap. I think historically, gold stocks when they have, this is a fairly substantial move for it, up 2%. Opens 1365. Boom, you're trading at 1370, 1375, good to go. Opens, right here at 1365. You trade down a dime, 15 cents. I think it's a fade. So opens are pretty important.
Oh, he's saying that there was a merger between gold and Barrick. It was an actual merger from a few months ago.
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember that one. I don't follow the gold stocks close enough there. So gold and ABX are merging?
I don't remember that at all either. Wow. What day
was
that?
We have goldfish memory, me and you.
What day was that? That was yeah. Wait, from March of 2017? That deal?
Yeah, you're right. They are combining. Okay. Yeah. Good call. Good memory there, Spinner. And that's obviously one I should be writing down on my merger or my risk GARP stuff.
Wow,
I totally dropped the ball on this one.
That got approved. And that got approved a month ago. Wow, totally missed that. Okay.
Yeah, I do remember I was kind of now talking about it now that I'm thinking about it, but I should have been writing that one down.
Okay. All right, Spencer. You want to wrap things up? I just want to thank Mr. Newsome here. I am standing on the treadmill, so he's a good 4 inches taller than me. Go around him doing some hoops or whatever.
For sure.
But, 26.91, folks. That's your closing price. I just keep an eye on that. Really important to take out that pre-market high, 26.98.75. Get into the 2,700 handle. But right now, technically, shaping up to hold that close. We'll see if it continues off the open. Spencer, you want to wrap things up and preview Monday's show.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us today. Thanks especially, of course, to Jerremy for giving us an hour and change of his morning. We appreciate that. If you missed any part of our show, catch our podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, tune in, Google Play, or just rewatch our show on YouTube. Please remember, all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. So thanks to all of you in our chats. Hope we got to your questions. Hope everyone has a good rest of your day and a good weekend. And I hope you join us again on Monday. Have a good one.
See ya.